Okay, yeah. So, quick little context. I recently hit a personal milestone that we'll talk about later in this video. But I had a call with my boy here, best friend of 24 years, 23, something like that.
It's about
And
25.
it's up there. It's up there. But basically, there's not many people that have been like along on the journey with me the whole time. And I think between him and my brother, those are probably two people that know me best. And I've been there literally the entire way, seeing everything, the ups, the downs, the rock bottoms. So I just want to get my story out there. If it inspires like one or two people, then it'll be worth it. Um, and it's good to document things. So I really want to talk about it because now I feel like I finally can. So this is Emil. He is, like I said, my best friend of literally most of my life. Um, and he's gonna kind of run through and like be the mediator throughout. And fuck, let's jump in. Let's do it, man.
I am the captain now. Okay, so you literally called me yesterday with a huge, huge milestone. And I think it's time that people get a better overview and a closer look at who you actually are and kind of your story. So, as Chris mentioned, we've been friends for the past 25 years. And I think your story literally is amazing. So, I want to go into an overview of how everything started, how you got to where you currently are, your mindset, what got you here. And I've personally seen you in a lot of tough situations and what really helped you get out and really what made you believe in yourself to get to the point where you're currently at. So I really just want to start out with the foundation of
Yeah.
not just you, but our friendship in general, which
Yeah.
is America. We're like, what,
Yeah.
5, 7 years old? We were both coming from a family of immigrants, first generation immigrants in America. And we literally just went to dinner and everything took off from there. Now,
Shout out Bulgaria.
shout out Bulgaria. And I remember the first time I met you, we just instantly connected. And
Yeah.
I think video games was a huge motive for that. We literally just started playing RuneScape. But even from a young age, I noticed that you had a very kind of entrepreneurial mindset because you would used to farm gold on RuneScape and sell it to me for cash in real life.
Dude,
I
I
would
don't I
literally,
don't remember selling to you. I definitely sold to
dude,
people at my
no,
school.
no, no,
Okay,
no. I
okay.
was one of
If you
those. I
if you say
literally
so.
remember.
Maybe
I literally
once. I
remember.
don't remember, but okay, okay. If
No,
you
you,
say
you were
so.
hustling me, bro. I used to go to my mom at dinner when we were at your house. Like, can you give me $5? I need to buy some
Okay,
GP.
if you say so. But yeah,
Yeah, but I think just from starting off, you've always had an ambition to make money. And
sure.
over the course of the past like 30 years, I literally see you get into multiple businesses, start like literally drop shipping, flipping shoes, starting software companies like the Chrome extension, doing arbitrage, starting a marketing agency and helping organizations and bars like market and on
Yeah,
Snapchat and other social media platforms. Like you've been everywhere, bro. You
everywhere.
like you've been everywhere, literally.
Yeah.
And I really just want to start off with initially growing up like in a Balkan household in America. How do you think that influenced your perspective on life? And do you think it contributed to where you're currently at?
100%, man. I don't know what it is. Ever since a young age, though, I just been so I don't know if obsessed is the right word, but just curious, and I just want to make money, bro. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's I don't want to say I grew up like in poverty or anything, but it's like lower middle class, right? Like it's not much of a difference. Like you have all your needs covered, of course. Your parents are working hard as hell, but it's not like can't get everything you want. And so I've always been obsessed with just like being able to and dreaming like when I grow up, I'm just gonna be able to buy whatever I want and make money. So I think most immigrants can relate, but the work ethic I definitely get from my parents. Just seeing them work so like tirelessly, um, day in, day out, like just not complaining. I think a lot of people that immigrate to the States know this and just kind of watch from the side as their parents just, have these crazy work schedules and maybe work two jobs or whatever it is. So I think that motivated me quite a bit because I always, it's cliche, but everybody wants to like help out their parents and be like, oh, when I'm older, I'm gonna be able to provide for them, this and that. So I think that was a big motivator. Just because when you're like a kid, there's nothing you can do. You can't get a job. You don't know how to make money.
Yeah.
So it's like this like internal like battle of like, fuck, I want to help. I want to do something. So I started just like thinking ever since I was in the stupidest shit, like you said, selling RuneScape Gold. I was always like thinking, how can I monetize this or that? Um, so yeah, man. After like my first hustle, I don't know what my first like little hustle is, but I do remember very well the game that we were addicted to, RuneScape, selling. gold to people in school. That's like a meal for like $30 or 20 or whatever it is, whenever I can have some extra money. Mowing lawns, I feel like that's something a lot of people do in the States growing up. Just doing whatever to get a hold of some cash. But the motive, I feel like, I don't know. I don't know if you're born with it, but I've always had this drive to like, how can I figure out how to make money? Probably a little more than most people. So I don't really know how to explain that. But the one external factor is obviously growing up like lower middle class and seeing my parents work so hard. It's just like this dire need to help, or this desire for like comfort, I guess. That's how.
So over the past couple of years, just growing up, you've gone into one thing and then to another thing. You were a lifeguard. You were just, like I said, everywhere. But what kind of helped you persevere? Like, okay, so you started drop shipping and it wasn't really that thing, and then you tried a different thing, and then maybe that wasn't always like the best fit for you, or you weren't making the dollar amount that you're looking forward to.
Mhm.
So what kind of helped you not stop and like be like, fuck, like I just need to get a job at this point?
So I think we should go towards my actual. So like I went to college, and I don't, like most people, we don't really know what we want to do, but I always had like a liking for, like, it started with like computer hacking, and like I was on like hack forums and these like cool like forums growing up. So I thought coding was the coolest shit ever. And for whatever reason, like after seeing the Social Network movie, that really pushed me when I was in like 10th or 11th grade. And I was like, okay, I think I'm going to try to learn how to code and go to school for that. So I did. Super tough because, I'm just not naturally gifted at school, but I
I
managed
remember
to, yeah, I managed to, put my head down, and I got a software engineering degree. And then I jumped in to my first job after college, which was a programming job.
it's not just a programming job. It was a very well paid programming job.
Yeah,
That's
so
very important.
yeah, full transparency. So this was in 2016 when I graduated, and the job paid $72,000 a year plus like a little like couple $1,000 bonus or whatever. So being like 22, seeing 72,000 being offered, and in college we're dead broke, right? Like zero money. Driving the 99 Volvo that my dad got me. That was like, at the moment I was like above the moon. So yeah, I remember first day on the job, I got there and I had like this moment. I was sitting at my desk after all like the initiation things. I was sitting in this desk. By the way, it was like a closed office that I was sharing with another kid that just started. No windows. And I was sitting there like, fuck, is this it? Like, is this what I was so excited and worked so hard for 4 years? Like, is this like where I'm going to be the next like 20, 30 years of my life? So I had this kind of like weird moment where it was like, you finally accomplished something that you thought was going to just bring you all this joy and happiness and like fulfillment. And then you're sitting there, you're like, damn, I think this isn't for me, like right off the bat, even though, I hadn't gotten paid it, but I was thinking like $72,000 salary. Whoa, fuck, this is so nice. But yeah, I was there and I was like, yeah, I don't think this is it. So I realized super early on.
Dude, I remember that you'd always call me in your lunch breaks, like sit in your car and eat your food, and you just call me, and you just always sounded devastated. Like it sounded like you were drowning. It was like you're like, another day in the office. I don't like
Yeah.
anything. I have my lunch break so I can see actually what time it is. I can't get any sunlight. I can't do anything, and you felt kind of like trapped. I remember, and you again. This is a huge accomplishment, especially coming from an immigrant family. Like you had a really nice, well-paying job. And your parents are extremely happy. They're just, they can't even fathom that you're in this position. And then a couple months later, you're like, well, I'm debating if I should quit, which is like, a lot of people work their ass off to get your diploma
Yeah.
and get a job. And then you got all of that. And after a couple of months, you said, I don't think it's for me. Like, and I really want to kind of pick your brain specifically for that topic, which is, at first, you have the backlash of your family, your parents, because they want the best for you, right? So when you're telling them, hey, you guys, just waited 5 years for me to get a diploma. I just got a job, but I'm going to quit because I believe in myself and I'm going to accomplish something much greater. And you have the backlash of your parents. You have the kind of the urgency to make more money because you just have a couple of thousand in savings at this point since you weren't at the job that long. And then what was going through your mind? Like, what were you thinking? What was the thought process? How the fuck did you actually get the courage to quit and, have that conversation with your parents at such a young age? Because that's like a really important age for a man growing up.
Yeah. So you're right, man. At that point, my parents, I'm sure, super proud. To them, like, they entered the States making like $7-9 an hour or whatever. And here's me, 22, the kid they invested all this time and money in, got this like sweet job at 22, making more than, you know, they could imagine at 22. And to them, I'm sure they were like, he made it. We did our job, big success. And then here I come talking about, yeah, I don't know exactly when it was, but not too soon after I started, I was like, I'm going to quit. I made like a promise to myself. I'm going to quit when I hit the 1 year mark at this job. I'm just going to quit. And I wrote it even like on my wall, all that shit, but a million things going through my mind. And like fast forward to like 10, 11 months at that job, I was actually that whole time in the process of getting a top secret clearance, which was like the highest level with like the polygraph. And once you have that and you're a programmer, like the world is yours, right? You can easily get another job for like probably like 100K and keep working your way up. So, yeah, I was about to get that clearance like approved. And I remember writing up the 2-week notice email, and I sent that in. And then the upper management, whatever, talked to me. My investigator came. He's like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "You're about to get a top secret. Are you sure you want to quit before you get it? Like, this is like huge." And I was so sure, like, thankfully I was young and delusional, like living in my own world. So I was like, yeah, I was thinking like years ahead, like, I got this. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to look back on this and just be happy that I did it. And shit, just like that, I was June 2017 hit, and I remember my last day. But yeah, it was miserable times, like going to the office every day, especially in the winter time, like waking up early. Yeah.
This is when you mention miserable times, I think a lot of people think that it's extremely easy, like to have a come up. And I think social media has really diluted that. And it's like, oh, every second guy's like super rich and it's super easy to become like a millionaire, whatever the use case. But I think a lot of the hard times for you began at that moment when you quit, because you don't have a job anymore. And now, fuck, like I need to make it. Like my personal relationships with my family are on the line. I'm on the line. Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I need cash. I need capital. I need to make it. Like, I have a huge urge to be financially well off. How the fuck am I going to get there? And you're at your house, like literally your office is your bedroom. Yeah, you're at your parents' house and your bedroom is your office. Like, you literally didn't, the only time you probably came out of your room for a couple of months was when you're going to eat. Like, literally.
Yeah.
And okay, you just quit your job. You're coming back home. You're sitting in your room. What the fuck's going through your mind? Like, how did you decide what to kind of take it? Like, what type of action did you decide to take and why?
Okay, so to paint the picture, June 2017 is like when I quit. I think I had about, because I worked, the entire year after taxes, all that stuff. I remember having like $40,000 to my name, and at the time, that's a lot. As a 23-year-old, you're like, yeah, fuck, I'll live off this forever, right? Living in my parents' house, yes. And I don't know if you remember, but that summer, like shortly after I quit, I came to Bulgaria to visit you, and I kind of took that summer as like a refresh, like, I'm just going to think about what the next move is, blah, blah, blah. So it didn't hit until I got back. I don't know if it was like September or whatever, October, and the weather started getting cold. And I was like, okay, now I can't just sit around. Like, it's not summer anymore. I'm not on vacation. So it was time to figure shit out. And I remember, like, because we talked a lot back then, and I first started, I was like going down the list, right? Drop shipping was the biggest thing in like 2017. Everybody was like talking about it online. And that's like the first thing I tried to get into. But super cool, we found out like that's not it. Like, there's too much, like it's like 3-week shipping. There's no quality control. It's like Chinese stuff being sent to America. I felt like I didn't have any control, and I was like, this is not it. Like, this is not whatever. And then I tried Amazon FBA, which was a couple steps above that. I liked it much more, but you're too reliant on Amazon. And again, it's like, I don't want to do e-commerce. Like, I was thinking about, like, I don't want this to be it for me, right? So I tried a bunch of shit, man. Even when I was at my job, I remember I had a little Snapchat marketing agency, because that was at the time Snapchat launched their custom geo filters. So you can select a filter, like let's say over a bar or a restaurant, and you can make custom filters. So anybody inside of that venue can pull up their phone, swipe, and see a custom filter. So I got onto it early, and I literally in person drove to the local bars and stuff and pitched them with like an iPad about this. And I managed to hook like 3 of them to pay me, whatever a month. This was during my job, by the way. So after work, I would go do this. And like during my lunch breaks, I'd be on the phone with bars. I would come back home from work, send out like 50 emails like pitching this to like all the restaurant and bars in like DC or whatever. And so I had like a side hustle, even like at where you would think most people at 22 making like 70 something thousand dollars a year are not going to bother. But I was like trying to find an exit plan, doing anything. So back to, post quitting the job, I was just trying everything. And that was kind of 2018. It was like just trying a bunch of shit, failing, and just moving on to the next. And every door that closed led me to something new and slightly more interesting. So at that moment, man, I remember like because I was doing Amazon FBA and you would talk to like Chinese suppliers, I would stay up to like 4 or 5 a.m. every night because that's when they would start waking up and answering messages. Probably talk to you in the meantime or do whatever. And then I'd wake up at like 9:30 or 10 a.m. and just keep going. I did that for months. I don't know how I did it looking back, but I was in that delusion phase where I was like, I wasn't even thinking, oh, what if this doesn't work? Or I was just going for it. So 2018 passed, and that was like the year where I was focused on Amazon FBA. And towards 2018, I looked at when I was like doing my taxes, I was like, I thought I was making like some money, but like the amount of expenses and shit just added up. And I was like, yeah, I have to get out of this and on to the next thing. So.
And you just mentioned like so many new kind of businesses, ideas, and everything. But after they when you were going into the different phases, what kept you going? As in, I personally remember we had a lot of hard, like difficult conversations with you. Like there were days where you were like extremely, kind of down, like fuck, like fucking Chinese manufacturer didn't send me shit. What the fuck am I going to do? Like people are waiting for my orders. I have a backlog. Like things are getting like replaced. Like competitors are trying to go into my niche. This is happening. This client for the agency, for example, he doesn't want my services anymore. Like what kept you going? Because it's like, it's literally kind of like failure after failure after failure at that point.
Literally. Oh man, Amazon FBA stressed me the fuck out for sure. Just because Amazon wake up and Amazon took down my listing for whatever reason. And it's like, just when you get momentum, something happens and pushes you down. So it was like months of that. I'd get some momentum, then something happens out of my control. And I was like, God damn, this is so stressful. What kept me going? Dude, I don't know. Like, it's one of those things where I look back and I'm like, how did I stay up till like 5 a.m. every morning, wake up 4 hours later, keep at it? I really don't know what kept me going, dude. Again, I was living in my own world. Like that was it. I didn't see it any other way. I was like, I'm just on this journey and I didn't even have time to think. I was so focused on like making it work.
Do you think it's because you put yourself in a really difficult situation, as in you cut off all of your revenue, which is your job, and then you're like this is it. Like I'm my own boss. You're going from a very predictable day, as in I need to go to my job at 7:30. I'm heading out at 5. I'm home at 6. I'm going to go to the gym at 7. Everything was kind of predicted. Yeah. And now all of a sudden you have literally no schedule. You don't know what the fuck's going on. You need to think about a new business idea. And then you're your own boss. As in you could be working 18-hour days, whatever the use case. But how did you kind of transition from knowing exactly what you need to do to fuck? It's like me, I'm the boss now. Like, whatever I say happens and there's no one to tell me what to do. I need to think about everything.
Yeah. It's a weird transition, but you're 100% right. Like my motto, and I've even to this day, is like you got to put yourself in extreme circumstances to get extreme results. So I knew if I had like a safety net where I was like, oh, maybe I'm gonna work part-time, or like no, I was all in because I knew I had to light a fire under my ass in order to move and like do stuff. So once I quit my job, I told myself I'll never go back to a job. I remember strictly like being at like a wing night with like some friends, and one of them asked me like, yo, so when are you gonna get another job? And I was like, I looked at him, I was like, never. And, I'm sure he was like thinking, yeah, okay, like, I'm sure I'll see you in like a year or two.
That aired well.
Yeah. But extreme circumstances, man, that's what you got to do. And the transition, I don't know. It was just me spending countless hours in my room at my parents' house, just thinking, planning, executing, failing, for the entirety of 2018. And yeah, then we have like the next chapter of 2019, which was probably my roughest year because I posted my tax returns like on Twitter or Instagram, whatever. And in 2019, my net income was $12,000. So, going from, and that was like a stressful $12,000, by the way. So going from, cushy job to basically like making no money. I don't even think I had to pay taxes because it's such a low income. Um, but looking back, it's not about the money. It's about like everything I learned and the skills I developed during that time, which most people don't get because most people are focused on money. And like you said, having the immigrant parents, like they like, yes, they're supportive, but at the same time, they're like, what the hell are you doing? Right? Like we just invested, you know,
Yeah.
4 years of college, you reached such a good point, and now you're, you know, doing what? Like they're like, well, what are you actually doing? And they would always ask me, right? And I don't know how to answer because I'm going from like trying drop shipping, trying FBA to trying this and that. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I was just doing, right? And I think that's the important thing. And my mom definitely was a little more understanding than my dad. Like there came to a point where, which I fully understand, by the way, where my dad, kind of was. We had a little moment, me and him, of disagreement, which, yeah, rightfully so, like rightfully so. But it's hard to convince other people how much you believe in yourself. That's one thing I've learned. And if you don't, then it's going to be rough for you, right? So you have to have that like delusional self belief, especially when you're young in your 20s, and you got to just go after it. So yeah, that was kind of my progression from employee to trying out this whole self-employed thing.
When you mentioned your hardest year was like 2019,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, you were getting into crypto and stocks around 2016,
hmm
right?
Yeah. So yeah, let's go back to that. So 6 months after I quit in 2017 is when me and you got into crypto together, like at Q4 2017. And that was super exciting, right? It didn't really last too long because we kind of, I don't know, that bull run seemed very quick. So at the end of 2017 is when me and you just started diving in and joining these Telegram groups and Reddit and all these forums and, buying random shit on Coinbase and on Binance, the ICO period. So in 2017, I remember I was like, I'm gonna put $4,000 in, or I think it was like four or 6,000, and that's it, right? No more. And which is actually what I ended up doing. I think of that 6,000, 2,000 I lost to Substratum and like all these stupid ass old coins that, whatever, it's into the ether. It's gone. What I did successfully do, and this is crazy how things lined up. So I managed to accumulate BNB, which is a Binance token, in like Q4 2017 for like an average of like $5, right? Which is crazy looking back because it's like $700 now. But I accumulated that, and when 2018 rolled around, I just held on to it, didn't really do much of anything else. And I basically ended that bull run with just my 4K invested all into BNB. So from there, I held 2018. I think we were a little bit involved in like the bear market of 2018 and 19. I remember buying remember the BAT token, Braves token.
Yeah.
I was randomly buying that. I got super bullish. Yo, Brave is huge, by the way. So I was right on the browser, just not on the token. And so middle of 2019, right, as far as my crypto journey goes, it was April 2019. I remember it very vividly. It was around Easter time. BNB had gone from whatever, $4 or $5 to 20. So it did like a 5X. And in the middle of 2019, there was like a weird, like mini fake, like pump fake bull run that happened in 2018 that lasted like a month. So it was around then when I was like, oh, what the hell? Like my 4,000 in BNB is now like, whatever, 15, whatever thousand it was.
Which is huge for you in your current situation, right?
Yeah, for sure. So then I decided, because I learned about Ethereum, I was like, BNB is cool. Like this, it's this like exchange. There was no BNB chain at the time, by the way. It was just the exchange for Binance, which was like a year-old exchange. I was like looking at the CoinMarketCap top 50, top 100 coins. I was like, most of these are on Ethereum, and I was just learning about like what Ethereum is. I was like, you know what? I'm going to convert all this BNB to ETH. 100% of it, just swapped it. And ETH's price at the time was $150, maybe $155. So I swapped it Easter of 2019. Forgot about it, like locked it away, made sure like I'm not touching it. And that would go on to, sounds kind of dramatic, but shit, that should basically save my life. Because 2019 was the roughest year. I was running on fumes. As far as like side hustles, I would do like random, I don't even remember. I was like doing like random like freelancing stuff online for like the most awkward things, just to like scrape by and make some money while still like figuring out the bigger picture. So 2019, definitely my roughest. I was going through my bank balances like 2 nights ago from my bank statements from 2019, 2020. Bro, I had like, besides like not counting my Ethereum, I had maybe like 16, $17,000 to my name, which was, it's crazy to think about now. Um, yeah, bro.
It's gonna get really crazier to think about when we kind of talk more about the milestone you hit. I think
Yeah.
that's like the big like wow moment.
Dude, I remember in 2019 when you were here and it was like a summer night and we were like, fuck, let's walk to the park or something. And then we were just chilling and we were talking about like rent. Because at the time, still at my parents' house. It was before I moved into my brother's basement. And I was like, bruh, like with the amount of money I have enough money to like cover like 9 months of rent and then I'm out. And that moment kind of scared me because I was like, there's no safety net. I'm not going to ask my parents for money. I'm not going to another job. So I was like, in that moment, I was like, wow, like this is real. Like, and it was a little spooky at that one, but I vividly remember that.
I remember it was more than spooky, but yeah, it was for sure like a huge, I think, pivotal moment in the way that things shape themselves and why they shape themselves in a certain way. But talk. So, when did you actually move into your brother's basement?
It was
What year was it?
September 2019.
September 2019.
Yeah, because that summer is when I got into like a little misunderstanding with my dad, which I love very much. I understand where he's coming from, and I was living at my parents' house, so I was like, not out of like anger or anything. I don't know what the right word is, but I was like, I have to go out my own because if I'm still living at my parents' house, like they can be on my case. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you not, doing this, getting a job, going back to programming? But if
And they're balking parents.
Hmm?
They're also balking parents, which is like another use case.
Yeah. But if I didn't live there, they couldn't really be on there. I was like, out in the world. So thankfully, my brother let me move into his basement. I think he let me get away by paying like, I don't want to live there for free, of course, because I don't feel like a leech. So I paid like maybe like $500, $600 a month. Forget what it was. It was around there. And yeah, I felt like that started a new chapter in a way. But yeah, that was also another moment where I felt like I was moving out and it just felt like I said, a new chapter. But it didn't stop. 2019 was still rough. I was still unfazed for whatever reason. And closed out 2019 happy. Like I wasn't, you would think that being my worst year, I'd be like super depressed or whatever. But for whatever reason, like I remember ending 2019, like just motivated and ready to go. And then things got way worse after 2019 ended. And that was like, but you know what they say, the best moments come after the worst ones. And that's exactly what happened.
100%. And can you just walk me through the moment that, okay, so you had all this ETH that you accumulated after selling BNB.
Yeah.
And when did you actually start taking investing and trading more seriously?
Right. So, by the way, I had 53 Ethereum coins when I swapped my BNB to Ethereum, 53 Ethereum coins. And I didn't touch them for quite some time. So when 2020 rolled around, like the first couple months was when like COVID, pandemic, and some like personal things happened in my life, which but we're not going to talk about, that like cemented that being like the worst era of my life. So I was in my brother's basement, just like super depressed, super, I just like stopped working altogether, like anything. I didn't really care. Like when you're like in like a depression kind of state, like you don't give a shit about anything. So I kind of took a pause on everything I was doing, and I was like, whatever happens. And when the COVID crash happened, my Ethereum was like, I think it felt like $80, $90 a coin, which is probably like, I don't know, like $4,000 or $5,000. So even that was like, at that moment I was like, oh, crypto's going to zero. Like it's done. Like I wrote it off almost. I was like, okay, that's whatever. That was my lottery ticket, but it is what it is. And then like summer 2020, I noticed crypto, just like everything, started going back up. Like stocks, everything recovered really fast. And I remember like that summer, I'll be like nudging, like, yo, Ethereum's at like 289. Yo, it's at like 350. Like it's at 380. Like what the fuck? It's going back up. right? And now I know that sounds crazy, right? Because that's super low prices, but that's like 3, 4x off the bottom. So some hope, started to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I still didn't touch it. I was just like holding it. And towards the end of 2020, around election time, like Bitcoin rose to like 10K, 15K, 20. So at the very last months of 2020, I started getting excited about crypto. And I remember like during the summer, a little after is when like the whole DeFi summer thing started. So I was like researching like, what is staking? What is Ethereum 2.0? Like all this stuff was like new and happening, and crypto felt really exciting again. So that is when I really started like getting back into it and learning, reading, researching all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I really admire about you, by the way, is you kind of become like a maniac. When you go into something new, you start researching the shit out of it, and then like really testing it out, seeing how it works, following different communities, finding like these really weird sources that are like extremely valuable. You just find it somewhere. I don't know. It's amazing. But I remember that you started going into this rabbit hole of like DeFi, and then you kind of had a following on social media. People were starting to pay attention to your tweets. And then, if I remember correctly, that's how you got into the Wealth Squad, right?
Yeah. Bro, crazy as shit, by the way, on Twitter. So I remember before the New Year's rolled around, me and you were on like a Discord call, and we were like, let's write down our goals for 2021. And I was like, I want to get, I think I said like 8,000 or 9,000 followers. At the time, I had 23 followers, by the way. So that was just like a random thing I threw out there. And I started, like just tweeting a lot. But more importantly, I made a YouTube video about one of Mark Cuban's like NFT. This was NFTs were like bubbling, brand new. Nobody had heard about them. And I posted it like, I think January 2021. So right when the year ended. And I tweeted Mark Cuban about it. He saw it and he followed me when I was at like 60 followers. I was like, what the hell is happening? Like, whoa, like something's happening, right? Crypto is getting a lot of excitement. And then he would like start retweeting my stuff. And I remember my basketball coach from freshman year texted me. He's like, yo, I just saw Mark Cuban retweeted you, but I had like, not my face as my profile picture. And it said Chris K. He was like, is that the Chris K? Like, I know. And I was like, wow, bro, shit is happening fast. So I slowly started getting, some followers. I think I got up to like maybe 2,000, somewhere around there. And 2021 was my breakout year where a lot of shit started happening. By the way, at that time, January 2021, I believe, is I was still, broke, but my Ethereum stack had grown to like, what was the price? I think it hit like around $1,000. So I had like 53K in crypto, and I was like, so I remember that summer when me and you were talking, I was like, bro, if Ethereum hits $1,000 again, I'm gonna be living the dream, bro. $50,000 I'll have. And I was thinking like, wow, that would be fucking amazing. Anyway, then it did it, right? In December, January, it hit 1,000. I was looking at 53K in my Coinbase, right? Because we had to transfer it from Binance because they were like splitting the US thing or whatever. And I was like in disbelief. And also I had hella bear market PTSD. So what I did is I sold 20 ETH at like 1,200 or 1,500 because I had to, bro. Like, I'm not going to risk. I had no money. This is like the most money I've seen in a long ass time. And I took like 25K profits just because I needed it, right? I needed it. Fuck. So then, I started looking into other things, buying other coins because I didn't like cash all of that out. I left some of it in Coinbase and started buying like Aave or like Chainlink, stuff like that. I started like actually getting into crypto again because I could. So that kind of, marked the 2021 arc of my crypto journey.
I also remember that when you were going hard on crypto, you were also doing your research and just figuring out the world of stocks as well.
Mm. Well, so when I was learning about DeFi, I was documenting everything because that's just how I learned. Like I structured it, documented it. And then I had this like Notion page of like all this DeFi stuff. And I was like, why don't I just publish this? So I did. I made it a website, letsdodefi.com, which is still up. And I accidentally just became like a content creator for crypto, right? I had my YouTube channel, I had letsdodefi.com, and people were looking at me like a source of information for everything DeFi. And it just, bro, it happened so quick, so accidentally. Like I posted to my YouTube channel with 0 subscribers, nothing. And it just started slowly picking up. And I just kind of rode that wave for the first half of 2021. And that's when I ran into Chris Johnson, which he was also like most people trying to figure out what the hell is this crypto thing? What's DeFi? What's that? And I remember it was like 2 a.m. one night on Twitter. And I'd been following him for a while, and he posted about DeFi. And then I instantly like posted my website, let's do DeFi.com, under his tweet. And then he likes it, retweets it. And I see like all these like likes and shit. And then he DMs me like, yo, how much do I have to pay for a consultation? And I was like, what the fuck? Because, you know, Chris was still big at the time. He had like 100K followers. You know, he was a presence. He had a movement. I was like, pay? Like, what do you mean? Like, let's get on a call. So I got on a call with him and I walked him through, blew his mind with all this DeFi shit. I was like an hour or 2 call. And he took a liking to me for whatever reason. He really liked my approach, my everything. So on that call, he was like, bro, I'm gonna get you 10K followers. Again, I had like 3,000 at the time. He's like, just watch. And I was like, okay, like, cool. And after the call hung up, I remember seeing, you were there, bro. Like, it was in my brother's basement. After the call, I was like hype. I was like, hell yeah, like, this is dope. Not knowing like what to expect. And instantly he posted me on Twitter. He's like, this is the guy for DeFi. Like, and my followers just start going crazy. I think I hit 10K within like 2 weeks, or like maybe 1 week. I don't know. It was almost instant.
I think a week.
Yeah, it was super fast. And yeah, so that's random interaction is what led me to Chris, and he just helped blow my content out to like a much bigger audience. And he had the Wall Squad, which is his big group. And I remember in like May or June, he asked me, he's like, yo, you want to be part of the Wall Squad as the crypto teacher? And I was like, hell yeah. Like, say less. And the rest is history. I mean, it was like one thing after another, bro. And I remember that summer, 2019, you know, I was literally just in America, you know, grinding, head down, broke. But that summer, I took a vacay to Bulgaria. I remember getting on the plane and getting a DM from Pool Together, the guys that Pool Together. Shout out to Blake Burrito. And he was like, yo, we want to give you a grant to be like the exclusive sponsor of your YouTube channel. By the way, my YouTube channel had 3,000 subscribers at the time, like 3,300. And they were down to pay me 15,000 for 3 months, I think. And I was getting this right before taking off. And I was like, at that moment, I was like, yeah, I was like, I think this is it. Like, everything's just like the stars are aligned. I was on the runway, just like huge smile on my face, thinking about somebody wants to pay me $15,000 in 3 months to sponsor my YouTube channel. And Chris wants me a Well Squad, and everything was just like connecting. And I was like, oh shit, like I'm here. Like, the journey had started.
I think that's when you hit one of your biggest milestones. I remember at the time I was in the forest and I get a call from you and you're like, dude, we just launched a course and it's taking off. Like, that was a little later. That was like
after the summer. Yeah, so that was fucking huge. So I came back from the vacation, September, and I started, and during the summer, I don't know if you remember summer of 2021, I was staying with you. Bro, I was working day in, day out. I remember pulling like all-nighters, having like headache, but I had to get the video out for like Miles, for like DG, and I was just like on that laptop, teaching classes in Well Squad every Saturday, being super active, Twitter, YouTube, making YouTube videos, all that shit. I was grinding, bro. And in that summer, I was envisioning like all the success, literally everything. I was like, I'm going to drop this DeFi course when I come back to America. It's going to be huge. Chris said he's going to help me blow it up. And that was one of the craziest moments ever. Launching that course in October. Actually, it was on a pre-sale was on my birthday, September 28th. And I damn near shed a couple tears when I saw the amount of support I got. I remember pressing the button of the tweet, like, the course is out, because I was like showing people along the way as I was making it, giving them previews. Everybody was super excited. I was super excited because DeFi was like this mystical thing that nobody really knew how to navigate, and I did. So I was just in a great position to kind of teach that. And I'd made this like A to Z beginners DeFi course with, the help of like Chris to like help me push it. But when I pressed the launch button on that tweet, September 28th, bro, it was amazing. I saw like hundreds of people. It was only like $29, I think, at launch, which was super generous of me because of the time I put in. But hundreds of people bought it within like the first hour. And yeah, that was nutty. That was nutty. At that point, I was like, holy shit, I've never seen this much money this quick.
Yeah. That's what I was about to say. Is I remember getting that call. You were on cloud nine, bro. Like your voice was just ecstatic. Like you hadn't been in such a good mood since for years. Like when I got that call, I was like, holy shit! Like this is I personally I couldn't believe that you accomplished this with the course and like it was getting so much traction. And yeah, just I think it was a huge milestone for you at the time. And what would you? So I think one amazing thing about you is that you worked the shit out of just all of the free time that you had. So yeah, you worked your ass off. You worked extremely hard to get where you were at the time. And I think having that background really allows you to relate with people just getting into the space, into investing, into crypto, into stocks, whatever the use case.
Yeah.
And what would you recommend someone just starting off right now? Like, let's say you're back at 20 years old. You have like 10K, 15K saved up. You're living with your parents. How would you start this journey like right now?
Yeah. So so let's get into like the investing part of things after this question. But before I answer that, I just want to say, be super transparent. When I launched that course on launch day, I think I made like $15,000 in sales the first hour, which was crazy to me. And I'll be real, bro. I dead ass like cried for a hot second, like when that happened.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it was like a super, what's the word, cathartic moment where like I felt all like the previous years of like super hard, unpredictable work, like finally formed into this one moment. That was the start of everything. And it was just like an explosion of like emotions. And yeah, so I hope everybody gets to experience that one day. But yeah, man, what a moment. Oh shit. Okay. Well, what was the question?
What would you like? Yeah. So since you've gone down this path and you ended up pretty much trading for a huge part of your free time and just to get a stable income, I guess, or just get some type of income, what would you recommend most people getting into the space or that are just starting off right now?
Into investing or
investing, correct? As in, just picture yourself back. If there was a time machine and we took you back like 7 years, what would you tell yourself, and how would you do something differently?
So I would tell myself that day trading is a scam. It's like, don't try to get into like day trading, right? Especially if you're starting out with a couple $1,000s, and if you're so it's all about like where you are in life, right? So if I was in my early to mid 20s, I'll tell somebody like, take all the risks that you can with your money, with your time, whatever. Like in those years, that's the most free that you'll ever be, right? My friend's dad always said like, the older you get, the more shackles get lashed onto your feet. And that couldn't be like more true, because like then you have no responsibilities, right? If you're 22, 23, 24, 20, whatever, if you go broke doing something, like, so what? Like, what do you have to lose, right? Nothing. But everybody's focused on like following the blueprint of, getting a job, moving up in the career, whatever, which is cool too. But you'll never be able to get that type of freedom ever again. And I think most people just end up wasting it, right? So you got to take advantage, especially if you're living with your parents, if you don't have to pay rent and you have disposable income. That is the most powerful era of your life, because you can do whatever. You can take on risks that 35-year-olds can't, or 40-year-olds can't. They just can't, right? Especially if you have like wife, kids, mortgage, like you're so limited. You have so many shackles. So my advice is go super risk on, and don't look at the market, whether it's stock market or crypto, as income, right? Look at it as a place where you're putting in money and your goal is to keep growing and growing and growing that not constantly taking it out, right? Because the goal is to compound your portfolio as much as you can to like, blow it up. But I would say be patient and really go a level deeper with like understanding. Because like most people, no matter the age, I've helped talk to thousands of people over the last couple of years. They don't understand like the simple things. All they really know is the price of, that quote, everybody knows the price of something, but the value of nothing. So learn what market cap is, learn what you're actually buying, be patient and wait for the opportunities. When it comes to like, especially in crypto, in all markets, the best time to buy is when nobody wants to buy. Like it's that simple, but it's like easier said than done. I mean, I have so much advice. We could be here for hours regarding like investing in general, but I would say get rid of that bias of, oh, I only have $2,000. What the hell can I do with it? Look at me. I only had $4,000 or $5,000 to jump into the crypto space with. Look what I did with it, right?
Can we just use this as a segue?
Yeah.
Can we kind of let people know what you did with it at this point?
Yeah. So we already covered how like I put, I put that 4 or 5K into BNB. I waited like over a year, almost a year and a half. Then it 4x'd, swapped it to ETH, and then I waited almost another year, sold maybe like 35% of it because I just needed fucking life expenses money. I needed the money, and I held on to the rest, right? And at that point, I remember crossing. I have like all the screenshots of my Coinbase account, screenshotting every single day at the start of like the 2021 bull run. I crossed 100K for the first time, and that was like my net worth was literally like crypto. So I finally entered 6-figure hell, as crypto Twitter calls it. And then I started buying alts, eventually NFTs. Actually made some good money from NFTs that I just sold for ETH. So I was like, my goal was just to keep stacking ETH from whatever. If this altcoin goes up, take profits into ETH. And I was just stacking. And like profits from any outside income, as like the course that I helped, people learn about DeFi with, right? That income would go back to ETH in that bear market when I started buying the dip. And shit compounded, bro. And then here we are in 2024. Oh fuck. No, let me talk about my crazy journey. So, and at the end of 2021, that was like my peak. Yeah. So let's get transparent here. So 2021, towards the end of it, was my peak net worth at the time. And I remember doing like a quick count of like all my wallets, the random NFTs I had, just everything, right? And I remember I was at like around, I don't remember the exact number, but around 800K in like the end of 2021. That was like when everything was at all-time highs. So I was at like 800,000 and I could smell the million. And then 2022 rolls around. And I remember February when the Russia-Ukraine war started, it was kind of like the start of the downhill, down bad year that 2022 was. So in 2022, things were grinding down. It was super kind of disheartening. And then November 2022, the FTX shit happened and everything just blew up, right? ETH dropped to like 1,000, Bitcoin to 15,000. It was terrible, right? Alts bled even more. And at that point, also like when I had to pay taxes, right? Because 2021 was my first year of making, a lot of money. I paid like $120,000 in taxes. April 2022. 120, bro. And while I was excited, I was like, man, I can't believe like I'm paying so much taxes. But then when shit goes down and I saw my net worth get cut in half after that. So bro, at the end of 2022, I was at like, I don't know the exact number because I was like always too scared to check, but I had like a mental note. I was probably down to like 400 again from 800, maybe even like 380. I don't know.
And that's character, man.
Bro, it builds mental instability. And then like, I know, okay, but now's the time to buy, right? Because it's the start of the bear market. Everything's dead. Everybody's running away from crypto. And then I had moments where I was like, all right, like you're either all in or you're all out. Like there's no, like, this is the make or break moment for you. you either have to double down and, buy this crazy dip and continue buying, or like, yeah, I don't know. And just to like think about like losing it all, going back to square one, I was, I had moments where I was like super, super spooked. Like, I can't go back to being broke again. Like, and not this way, not like round tripping all this money that I made. And at the time, like when in 2022, also had like sponsors, people that, because I was like, the go-to person in DeFi, people were paying me to help them with content. And by people, I mean like DeFi protocols, apps with content, sponsors on my YouTube, my course, blah, blah, blah. They were all pulling out because they were all either running out of money or getting spooked. And I lost all the sponsor money, all that income gone. The course, obviously people were not interested in crypto anymore. So everything just poofed, it seemed like overnight, just like my net worth. And now with the cash that I did have available, I was like, this is it. Like, I got to double down. So started buying ETH at, down the whole way. And at like $1,000 per ETH, I would buy 1,100. I was buying aggressively 1,200, 1,300. And I told myself at 1,500, I'll stop. And then if it goes up a lot, then I'll be happy. So it's not like I'll regret it, because I bought very low. So November, December, and January was like those tough moments of like buying that scary ass dip where it seemed like crypto was done for like the next 5-10 years. I don't know. I had no idea it would recover so quickly. But then in January, February of 2023, started going back up again, quicker than I thought. And it slowly started grinding up. Didn't go up crazy, but there was a recovery, and I was like, okay, like maybe there's hope. So middle of 2023, I don't remember the exact prices, but I felt, March. One of my scariest moments was in March 2023 when USDC, because I held all of my cash, by the way. I don't keep it in a bank. I keep it on chain. Like my sponsors, anybody that was paying me, I'd ask to be paid in like USDC, right? So it was on like throughout my wallets. So my cash was on chain via USDC, which is a stable coin for those watching, which is tied one USDC equals $1. And then that like one weekend in March, USDC started depegging because Silicon Valley Bank went under and all these banks started going under. And it turns out Circle kept 1/6 of their reserves for USDC in Silicon Valley Bank. And there was just unknown like circumstances, like what's going to happen. None of us knew, right? And I had, I think, a good chunk, like all the money I'd say, all the cash I had saved up from the 2021, it was like 100K cash in USDC, right? Which was like a third of my net worth. And woke up and I saw USDC at like 96 cents. Go back to bed, wake up middle of the night, 89 cents. And I'm like, is this about to be like another Luna thing where UST literally went to zero? Like that was all I could think about. Like, what if I just lose 100K, third of my net worth, and then I'm left with just all the ETH I'm holding, whatever random coins. And that doesn't even look like it's very confident. So in that weekend, because it happened on like Thursday, Friday, and it wasn't until like Monday we got assurance that the US government was going to step in and like make sure everybody's good. So, bro, that was the most stressful fucking weekend, because like I literally picture how like overnight I could just lose a third of everything I have. And then if USDC collapses, bro, I was convinced that everything else will too. So I was literally like, within the next like week, I could literally go broke. It was that type of like panic. Luckily, Monday came and we got the news that everything's good. USDC went back up to peg, and that was over. But that was definitely like in that moment, bro, I was like, what am I doing? Like, why am I all in? Am I taking just too much risk? I don't know. It was like an existential crisis at that point. So yeah, that's the wild ride of my journey. And then 2023, luckily, was the recovery year where things like slowly grinded up, and towards the end, we kind of started seeing decent levels. And as the new year, as this year rolled around, like Bitcoin ETF got approved, Ethereum ETF got approved, and today, what are the prices? Bitcoin crossed 100K like a day or two ago. ETH is above 4,000. My altcoins are cranking. My stock portfolio, by the way, hit new all-time highs. I'm looking at it today. That's also another thing, man. I've been getting like a lot into the stock market, and I remember starting 2023 with like 45-ish thousand dollars in my stock account, and luckily I bought like the tech bleed that happened in 2022. So I made some really good flips, really good picks, and now my stock port from 45,000. Let's see if it focuses there.
228K.
200, approaching a quarter mil, which is fucking nuts.
Bro, that's wild.
So, like a couple of days ago, when ETH rallied above like 3,800, I sat down and did some math and realized that apparently I'm a millionaire.
Pause, bro. I was with you through this whole fucking journey. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, you had 30K to your fucking name. Now you're a million.
4.5 years ago.
Now you're 30K to over $1 million. That's fucking wild, bro.
For everybody fucking watching, bro, play that back, man. If I can do that shit, somebody that, yeah, whatever. Not to get cliche. 4.5 years, like I always tell people, like your life can change in 1 year. Like if I think back to the end of 2022 or 2020, like those leaps that I took in like each of those 2 years, I don't know. It's unbelievable almost, man. It's crazy.
I want to take this moment and to kind of do a shameless plug because you fucking deserve it, man. Throughout this journey, you've also shared a lot of your investments with me personally. I remember you calling me, yo, do you want to invest in a fucking pixel? I'm like, what do you mean? There's this thing called CryptoPunks, bro. Like, just, you want to invest, yes or no? You kind of elaborated. You use the analogy that it's like a party hat RuneScape, which I understood exactly what you meant. I'm like, fuck yes. It's a party hat. Yes, to all the RuneScape players, they know exactly what that means. We bought a CryptoPunk at what, like 9 ETH?
I think even less. I think it was like
Even less.
7.8, whatever.
Dude, we made an investment. It was like $3,000 a person or whatever. It was 5 of us at the time. Now that's like almost 200,000.
Yeah.
You shared a lot of your investments throughout the years, and now you have a group coming out in 2 days.
Yeah. 444.
Exactly. And not only do you have a group, I personally, you added me just with some other individuals.
Mm-hmm.
I made like $13,000 in a week.
Talk about it. From how much? From how much? Talk about that.
Dude, I invested $600 and I made $3,000 in profit. It was up to $20,000. $600 were up to $20,000, but I sold at $13,000. But $13,000 in a fucking week.
Yes, sir.
From the group. And I think one of the most valuable things that you have in that group is teaching people how to do their research and really how to think about investing, not only in crypto, but in stocks. Mm-hmm. And I think that's amazing. I think the value of the group, me personally, I've learned so much from the course that we have in there. We have 2 courses. Yeah. And just the community that is in the group, to me personally, has really shifted the way that I think about investing and the community as a whole. And I just personally, I really want to thank you for sharing all this information with me. But I really do think a lot of people can benefit if they're serious about investing. If they really want to learn and have a strategy, I really recommend that they join the group. And I'm not getting paid for this. Like, it's just, I benefited personally. I cannot like not vouch for it. You know what I mean? Like, I saw what it did. I saw other people making a lot of money in there. I think it's just an extraordinary thing that you've created. And now that you're at this point, now you're like, I could literally say you're a millionaire. What is your strategy moving forward?
Sounds crazy. Shit. Yeah, no, I'm super excited to start 444 Capital. My strategy, man, like now that I'm at a mill is so again, I've been all in on crypto, and now that, I'm entering my 30s, I have to adjust the risk. I just can't be fully exposed to such a volatile asset class all in. I'm not saying everybody should do it. If you're in early 20s, you should do the opposite. You should be, going hard because it's a unique space we've never seen before. Like the opportunities are just insane, but there's a lot of risk involved. So what I'm doing, like moving forward, is I'm slowly on this rise. I'm gonna readjust my risk. So I'm like 80% stocks, 20% crypto. So I'm currently in the midst of that transition, and essentially what I want to do is, now we're gunning for the 10 mil mark, and I want to do that in the markets, and I want to share every step of the way inside 444 Capital, which is why I made it. And whoever wants to follow, we either make or lose money together. That's kind of my motto. So my next step is just going heavy, taking everything I learned in crypto, which is I feel like I've gotten 2 finance degrees in the last 4 years, by the way. And I've realized, my performance in the stock market the last 2 years, it feels like going from crypto to the stock market is like driving off of a highway into a school zone. Like my risk tolerance is so like so much, bigger than the average person. I can stomach way more volatility. And I think because of that, that's why I'm succeeding in the stock market, even though I haven't done too much yet. But, I made $1 million in crypto. Now I'm going to take my talents to the stock market, not fully exiting crypto, of course, and then I'm just going to try to keep running it up and
So
share my journey.
growing up, I know that this was a huge milestone for us. Just like, we have texts. We used to get on calls like, I can't wait until we become millionaires. Like, this is such a huge thing. Like, we're working really hard towards it. What is your definition of making it? Like, do you think you made it? What does it mean? What does making it mean to you?
I think there's a lot of definitions, but for me, I remember in the past, hearing once your passive income is greater than your expenses, you're rich. But I think my twist on that is once your passion income is greater than your expenses, you are rich. Because let's face it, like nobody, like retiring is like a myth, right? I mean, I don't think anybody truly wants to do nothing. I don't think humans are capable of that. Some are, but you want to do something that feels fulfilling, right? So I think when you make enough money doing something you enjoy, with time freedom, I think that's really making it, right? And on your own terms. So I think time is much more important than like you could be making 100K a year on your terms, and like that's rich. Like if you can in the middle of a Tuesday walk out of your house and take the rest of the day off, go on a walk, do whatever, like that's making it, man. Because like I remember being at a job, like I couldn't, like I had like a set lunch break and I had to be back. I had to be online and go to meetings and shit. So I think when you get that time freedom, and that's why I love doing stuff during the weekday, right? Going to wherever, the mall, the park, because nobody's there. And that like makes me realize, like gives me gratitude because I know like everybody's working, and in the most cliche type of way, I feel like in those moments, like I escaped the matrix. Like I know usually hate when people say that, but that's what it feels like. Like I don't have
You
the
were
shackles on my feet.
you were literally here a couple months ago for the summer, like for 3 months. You
Three
were at
months,
the
yeah.
beach you were at the beach every day. You were going to restaurants. Like, you had the freedom to do whatever you want, and you were
Yeah.
still making money doing it.
Yeah.
Like you were still making money passively by enjoying yourself and having the time of your life, which I think is extremely beautiful. And it's very motivating to me personally as well.
Yeah, I mean, I spent almost 2 months in the wintertime there, and 3 months, almost half the year, I spent it in Europe. And I come back here, I'm chilling, I'm comfortable at my place, waking up when I want. I think honestly, when you don't have an alarm clock anymore, that's like a good sign that you've made it. And to me, like especially, I know my introverts are going to feel this. Like I think for an introvert, making a living at home or just wherever that isn't in an office, that's like the dream. So that's been my dream ever since I was a kid, like on my own terms. I remember playing RuneScape. Like I was so into that game, so passionate. I would log on, not want to sleep. And I remember thinking like, if I can have that same excitement, but make money off it somehow, then like I won. Like I don't need 100 million. Like that's winning. And I think most people get caught up in like, oh, but I gotta have millions in the bank. I gotta, have the Rolex. I gotta have the Lambo. Like that's cool, but like the time freedom is really making it. It's the little things, bro. Like if you can go to the grocery store and not know how much you spent, that's making it. I know it sounds like a weird thing, but bro, 2018, 19, I remember like going out to eat at like restaurants and stressing because I know like spending 25, $30, that was I'm not trying to exaggerate. I did not want to do that. Like I was so conscious of like every little thing. And I think when you stop caring about like the little expenses and shit, that's when your life changes the most. Not like when you can afford, a really nice car. I think it's like when the base level things are covered and you don't even have to take one brain cell to think about like your groceries or oh, I'm not going to call Uber because they're probably like $20. And yeah, I could just walk or get somebody give me like, no, like when you can take care of that and just not even think twice or like order food, I think that's it.
So knowing everything that you kind of accumulated, all the knowledge throughout the years, and it's gotten you to a really good spot. And I think that you show that it's not luck because you made dozens and dozens and dozens of successful trades over the years that got you to this point, right? It's not like you invested in one shit coin and became a millionaire. No, this is like dozens of successful investments, not only in crypto, but in stocks and everything in general.
Yeah.
Where do you foresee yourself like in 2 to 3 years?
I just want to say there's definitely luck involved. It's not, there was somebody that said a beautiful quote. I forget exactly how it goes, but it was like, I'm paraphrasing here. Hard work and luck cannot coexist in one place or something like that. And I believe to get lucky, you have to show up. Like luck is, think of luck as like this random thing that passes by every once in a while at a specific place. You just have to show up to that place day in and day out. And eventually that luck that's passing by is going to hit you. And that's how you maximize luck. So I think there's always a factor of luck, but the question is, are you showing up to whatever intersection that luck is passing by every unknown amount of time? So yeah, there's definitely skill, knowledge, all that involved, but you got to show up. You got to show up. What was the question, by the way?
Where do you foresee yourself in 2 to 3 years?
2 to 3 years. I think the next step is to really, now I can, share all the compounded knowledge I've learned within, anybody that wants to come rock with me in the 444 Capital Group and help change lives that way. And it's not just about like, giving people place like options or like meme coins. It's about like, I really want people to understand that these markets, like finance is like this big video game, and most people I know don't take advantage of it. When I don't know, maybe I do know why, but you have to, it's printing money out of thin air. And this is what I tell people, right? I hate the term when people say like, there's a headline like, oh, Elon Musk's net worth is up 70 billion in the last month, right? The rich get richer. I hate that shit. The rich get richer. Like Elon Musk's net worth is up, not because Tesla's paying him a crazy salary. It's because his stock, the Tesla stock that he owns, has gone up significantly in the meantime. Guess what? You can own the same stock that he does, right? I do. My Tesla shares this year are up almost $80,000. That's out of thin air, right? I didn't do any work. So you can ride the coattails of these billionaires who live, sleep, and eat their business, and you can have your net worth rise at the same pace as theirs, right? People don't understand that. They think it's like they're making 100 million or 500 million a year from like a salary. Like Jeff Bezos, actually, there was like an article I saw. He's had the same salary at Amazon since he started, which was like a super like funny amount. Like let's say, I don't know the exact number, let's say $70,000 a year. Okay, do 70 times 30 years, right? That's like $2 million. Yet he's worth like 200 billion. That came from his stock, which you could have bought in 1998, 99, 2002, whenever. You could have had the same percentage returns as him, but people don't take advantage of that, right? So I'm just trying to change lives financially. And I think it's just about getting that knowledge out there to the masses. And then obviously, like, people that are more involved and active like I am can follow me deeper into like more complex plays and trades that play out over months or years. So that's kind of that's where I see myself, like taking this new group that I'm launching, 444 Capital, and building up the most kick-ass collaborative investing community that I can.
I think one of the most beneficial things that you provide to people is changing their mindset when it comes to investing. Because I think you personally, we have a lot of personal friends that constantly like DM you or ask me like, hey, what's the next like huge thing or whatever the use case. They just literally want to make like $10 million for a week and think that's like always going to be the play. But they don't think about things in a long-term manner, and they always just want to ride the hype train. And like you've always said, is if you're buying the hype, you're in too late, right? Mm-hmm. Because you need to be there when it wasn't that sexy, and you need to invest and see the plays and do your own research. And I think that's what sets you apart from a lot of people, because to be honest, the space has a lot of idiots and scammers that just like literally rent Lambos, like, I just made this in a couple of months, trading, whatever use case. I personally seen you, like, I can vouch personally that you made so many plays throughout the years that were extremely successful. I'm not saying that you didn't have any losses, but those losses, like the wins outweigh the losses like 100-fold.
For
right?
sure.
And I think you have a really interesting way of perceiving data and looking at patterns and writing, like being able to predict markets in a very effective manner. And I think
Yeah.
it's not an opinion, it's a fact. You literally turned 30,000 into $1 million within 4.5 years, which is extremely inspiring, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a huge proponent to why people should join the group in general. And not only going back to the example that you gave with when you can ride the coattails of billionaires, we can ride your coattail with your knowledge.
True. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like what I tell people is because I'm passionate about it, I'm spending 40 plus hours a week doing my research, and then I'm handing it off to anybody that wants to see it inside the community. Like that's like, so I'm like, come in and steal my ideas. Like go for it. Like that's why I'm building this. So 100%.
And what I love about the group is that we can literally track your portfolio live. I can see all the plays that you're making. I can see all the profit that you made. You tell people when you're selling. You tell people why you think this is a good idea, why it's a bad idea. And a lot of people ask you for advice, and everyone in the group can see the way that you perceive information. So we can have these interesting conversations in the group, and I think that's extremely valuable. But I just want to say personally, like what you've accomplished is amazing, man. Like I've been through it. We met when we were like, what? I was 5 years old, I think, till this point. Yeah. I was 30. Like I saw all the struggles. I saw all the bullshit that you had to endure to get to this point, and all like the drama and the sacrifices that you've made. And it's just extremely motivational. Like, man. I think you were delusional in the best manner that you were. Yeah. Like you literally believed in yourself when a lot of people, your closest people weren't that, sure that you were going to make it, but you still said, fuck it. Like, I believe in myself. I'm going to persevere, and I'm going to put everything that I have into it. And it fucking paid off, man. Like it's extremely inspiring.
Ooh, what a journey, man. What a fucking journey.
It's just the beginning, though. That's the beautiful part. Yeah. It's just the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, now it feels like a new beginning for sure. Fuck, man. Yeah. And the most important thing is having disposable income. That's like, I don't know if that falls under advice, but what I would tell people is stop looking at your portfolio as like the way of income and think of it as like a black hole where do whatever you can to get income in the real world. So like, if you look at it like this, right? If you can have 300% returns in the next 2 years or whatever, right? Every dollar that you make today, that's how I saw it in the bear market, by the way. Every dollar that I put in now is like $5 or $6 2 years from now. And that's exactly how it's playing out. So you gotta think of it like, I gotta do whatever I can to generate income and then just multiply it. But most people stop at the generation, right? So you make $10,000, but then you start spending, you start saving it, and it actually decreases in value, right? So the biggest thing is you gotta look at the markets as a multiplication machine for your money, right? Don't save your money. There's a rule of 72 that if you take 72 divided by the percent which your money is growing per year, that's how many years it'll take to double, right? You can Google this. If you put it in the bank at like 1 or 2%, it's going to take your entire lifetime almost to double, right? And in the meantime, it's inflating and losing value. So like you should not be saving money at all. So definitely if you don't have a Robinhood account or a Coinbase, wherever it is you're buying your crypto or stocks, make one like yesterday and start reading up. That's all I'll say. Also, we got some questions from people in the 4for4 community. I have like 5 quick questions that I can pull up.
Sure. So I'll just go through them. Yeah. How were you able to create income when you decided to quit your job and go full-time into crypto? At what point financially did you decide to jump the gun?
Yeah. So, okay. It's good that this is the first one. So when I quit my job, again, I had like $40,000 saved up. And that was enough for me to say, fuck it, let's just jump the gun and do it. So it wasn't more about income; it was more about self-belief. Because even if I had like half the money, I feel like I still would have jumped the gun and said, "Yeah, let's get it." Create income. So I was creating income through just like we mentioned, a bunch of random things of like trial and error, and it was just enough income to like get me by. So like basically my expenses and my income canceled out. So I was like, the way I saw it, I was living for free without having to pay anything to experiment. And that's the important part, right? I had runway to experiment. So even if I was making 12,000, that covers my expenses, or like 20,000 covered my expenses. But that time I have 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week to just experiment, that was the value. So most people focus on income, but like I said, if you're young, who gives a shit if you're making 20,000 or 30, right? Just cover your expenses, take all the risks, because that's a situation you'll never be able to capture twice in your life. So yeah. Second question.
I think this is now your third cycle. We grow as we become more experienced. How has your perspective of the crypto space changed compared to your last cycle?
Yeah, so this is my third cycle. I tweeted this the other day. I think the gap between your first and second cycle of like knowledge is actually smaller than your second and third, which sounds kind of crazy. But like right now, my third cycle, I jokingly said I wouldn't even talk to Chris in 2021. That's how big the gap is. So I feel like cycle number two is, we'll start from the beginning. Cycle number one is like your fuck up cycle. Take those funny losses, turn them into memories, and then apply them to your second cycle. Your second cycle, you're probably going to make more than you thought, but you're not going to, retire yourself. And then your third cycle is where you really, everything comes together. If you're not an NPC and you're just buying Ripple and Dogecoin every 3 years and repeating the same thing, right? If you like hold, take some action in the bear market and stick with it, I think, yeah, you just get exponentially better along the way. My perspective of the crypto space is I was much more naive in my second cycle when like DeFi and all this was happening. Although I still think DeFi has an amazing use case that will mature and develop a lot over the next like 5-10 years. But right now we're still stuck in like the mania phase of like all anybody wants to do is just speculate on the token price. They don't know the value behind anything. They just know, ooh, this token sounds funny, or this token is good, this token is bad. They don't care about the underlying tech. So in cycle number three, I'm kind of more cynical to like, I'm like, date your bags, don't marry them, right? So I'm not trying to hold everything. I'm trying to trim, consolidate, and just not go crazy on altcoins or anything. Majority of my portfolio in ETH, and while I'm waiting for ETH to go crazy, I'm just having fun with like memes and stuff in the meantime, right? So there should be like some type of balance. Third one.
Okay. In the crypto community, scares can be
Scars.
I want that. Oh, I can't read. In the crypto community, scars can be considered stripes. What are some of your biggest heart-dropping or oh shit moments in your crypto journey?
One we already covered was when USDC depegged, and I felt like taking 10 cigarettes and just like that meme. There's been a couple times where, especially in the beginning, I think in 2021, where I thought I lost my seed phrase and I got confused, and I thought I lost my funds to like a wallet or two. And those moments are like, super, super scary. So just get good at like seed phrase management and like wallet management. Heart dropping. I'm pretty good at like stomaching the volatility on ETH. So I haven't had any moments where like I put way too much into a random coin that dropped, because I wouldn't really do that. I think bet sizing is super important. So I try to, stick to my rules and stuff. But yeah, biggest heart dropping moment was probably like after FTX, where I thought like, okay, maybe I'm too all in and I didn't manage my risk properly, and crypto could be dead for like a long ass time. The USDC thing. Let's see, question number 4.
Okay, what was your oh shit moment in the future?
Okay, I think he means or she, I don't know who asked it. I think they mean as far as like the tech, where was I like, oh, this has a lot of potential. And instantly, I remember in 2020 when I deposited my first money into Aave, which is a peer-to-peer lending protocol. So there's borrowers and lenders. It's anonymous, just peer-to-peer. And at the time, they had like your balance would show to like the 10th decimal point. So instantly, even if you put like $2 in, you can see your money growing every like second, ticking up. And when I had put, I don't know how much money in there, and I saw the interest accruing in real time, and I was like, like the light bulb just like went off. Like, holy shit! Like I'm contributing to a pool of capital that people are borrowing against, people that I don't know, and they don't know me, and they don't need to know me because, luckily, DeFi, just like this anonymous middleman, and the people borrowing are fully collateralized, and it's just like this autonomous piece of code that's enabling loans, billions of dollars of loans. And I think that was the moment I was like, oh shit, DeFi, like there's something there. Yeah. Shout out to Aave too.
Okay, so as you're getting older, third cycle, would you ever see yourself not having crypto exposure? Would like elaboration on how you mentioned you plan on selling bags? Is it Jersey to the rafters?
Um, it's hard right now to imagine me having zero crypto exposure. It's possible, but not in like a long-term sense, meaning like I could see myself like consolidating and selling most of my crypto bags during this bull market and then just buying back in slowly during the bear. Um, if we continue the cyclical pattern, of course, which I think, inevitable. Like I said, I'm kind of adjusting to go like 80-20. So I'm going to be more stock market heavy. I'm definitely not retiring my jersey in crypto, but I'm definitely entering like a new era of, I'm not as desperate to get these like lottery pick coins and, make a shit ton of money, because I know that's a slippery slope. So, yeah, I'm always going to be plugged in to financial markets in general, and whatever happens, maybe you never know. Maybe I miss crypto and I go back to 50-50 or 60-40. I don't know, but that's kind of what I think right now, what I'll do. That was the last question.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What are your predictions for the bull market right now? As in, what are your predictions for prices for Bitcoin, for Ethereum?
Okay, so we are recording this December 6th, and let's see the prices right now. Bitcoin is at 100K, ETH at 4. So Bitcoin has been super impressive, but this is the first year where we've had Wall Street being able to buy, anybody's able to buy Bitcoin through, the biggest institutions in the world. People are able to put it in their 401ks, tax-free accounts. So it's like a big, big game changer. So definitely got to look at it through a different lens. I still think Bitcoin even is going to remain super volatile. A lot of people right now, because it's been up only, are convinced it's going to 1 million and like this is it. Like it's certified now. But I tell people, don't drink the Kool-Aid. Like don't forget. It's so easy to forget in a bull market that like there's going to be big downturns. Yesterday, Bitcoin went from 104K to 90,000 in like a flash crash, which is insane, right? Even though it's a $2 trillion asset now, like it's a different like 24/7 global market. Like it's not like gold, it's not like stocks. Super volatile, it can get spooky. But my prediction for Bitcoin, I think it's going to keep running. However, one thing that does make me kind of spooked is, and I know it's a contrarian kind of thought, but Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy buying up so much Bitcoin on if you want to call it leverage, right? They're raising debt through their shares to buy more Bitcoin, and they're going to continue doing it. I just have this gut feeling that that's going to turn into a black swan event. And we saw what happened. Like we saw the leverage flush yesterday where only a couple $100 million of leverage was flushed, but Bitcoin dropped by 200 billion. So MicroStrategy owns like almost 2% of the Bitcoin supply. I think they're gunning for that. I can't imagine what happens to not only MicroStrategy stock, but to Bitcoin if there was a big downturn and the panic just starts creeping in. I think, I don't want to stick around and find out. So I don't know. I think Bitcoin will go up. I think Ethereum is at this point, it has the Lindy effect to everybody. You think of Bitcoin, Ethereum comes next. So I'm hoping for, Ethereum to hit that $1 trillion mark. So like 8 to 10,000 in the next couple of months, ideally next 6 months. And then after that, it's a big question mark. I'm scared to even make predictions. I don't know. Could be usually what happens every bull market is the prices go beyond beyond my expectations. Even though I have like high targets, every time I'm blown out of the water, just because you can't help the bear market PTSD of like thinking back to how we were sideways for 8 months and dropped 80%. So I don't know. It's hard to say, but I think from the current price today, yeah, we're going higher.
All right, man. I think that pretty much concludes my personal questions. I really want to thank you for sharing everything and being so transparent.
Thank you,
And yeah,
moderator.
man, congratulations again, man. Fucking huge milestone.
Appreciate it, broski. All right, man. That's a wrap.